The topic of my nuclear research project is fission reactor designs. After a lot of research, I decided the best and most effective way to present this topic and differentiate between the many various designs is by first describing the basic requirements for a functional fission reactor, and then going into a brief overview of current designs and how the basic requirements have factored into the designs we currently use today. To start off really basic, we all know that nuclear fission is the splitting apart of the nucleus of an atom. Our ability to capture the energy from this reaction occurring is what allows us to create massive amounts of energy for the world to use. At the moment, there are 6 factors that are taken into account when discussing whether or not to implement new nuclear technology. The first of these is cost effectiveness. This one's pretty obvious. How much does the reactor cost to create/operate in comparison to the amount of energy that it creates and can provide for the surrounding area? The second is safety. Nuclear power isn't worth achieving at the expense of human health and life, so safety is extremely important. The third is security. The waste from this type of power production can be weaponized with relative ease, making it of the utmost importance to deal with it accordingly. Grid capacity is number 4. There's no point producing more energy than grid can handle, so putting the right infrastructure in the right place makes nuclear power much more efficient. The fifth is commercialization readiness. Many places need this type of power right away, and can't wait for future technology. This means that making things actually available for use, and not just remaining hypothetical, is essential to the nuclear power advancing in the future. Number 6 is the fuel cycle. This ties in both to the safety and security as well, as knowing the life of the fuel is important to dealing with waste and the refueling process. These next 4 bullet points are the 4 pieces of technology that cause the most variety between the different types of fission reactors. The moderator is what slows down the neutrons to allow for the fission to occur in thermal reactors. The material it is made out of and its presence as a whole all have a great effect on the type of reactor. Control rods absorb neutrons in order to control the fission rate within the reactor. These play a big role in the safety features of many fission reactors. Steam generators are often used in reactor types where heavy water is being used or water is not directly being turned into steam in order to power the generators. Finally, a nuclear coolant is a substance that transfers heat from the reactor core and effectively carries it to the generators. The first design type is the pressurized water reactor, otherwise known as the PWR. The basic idea of this reactor is that water is heated to extremely high temperatures, but doesn't boil by being kept under high pressure. This water is then converted to steam by a steam generator in a second system, which in turn then drives the turbines and powers the generators, creating electricity. In this type of reactor, water is used as both a moderator and a coolant. This type of reactor is especially interesting because the hotter the coolant becomes, the less energy is produced, making it very stable and essentially able to naturally control the reaction. The second design type is the boiling water reactor, otherwise known as the BWR. In this reactor, the water is also heated to high temperatures by the fission reaction, but is actually allowed to boil, turning the water directly into steam. This steam then powers the turbines before eventually being condensed in the condenser and being reheated again to continue the process. This type of reactor is controlled through the removal or addition of control rods, and by altering the flow of water through the core. Pressure vents, immediate shutdowns, emergency core cooling, and other safety features work together to make this and the pressurized water reactor extremely safe. The third reactor type is the pressurized heavy water reactor. The main difference between this and an ordinary pressurized water reactor is the use of heavy water as a coolant and moderator, which in turn makes naturally found unenriched uranium its fuel source. Interestingly, a device called a calandrial holds the core and the moderator. There are many more neutrons in play when using heavy water, so there's no need for the uranium to be enriched in order to provide a fuel source. Heavy water is more expensive, but the lack of need for enrichment facilities and the greater stability of the chain reaction balances out that expense. While they have their advantages, heavy water reactors pose security risk due to the fact that plutonium-239 can be chemically attained, as well as tritium, both elements that can be used for extremely dangerous thermonuclear weapons. The fourth reactor type, and probably the one I find most interesting, is the light water graphite moderated reactor. This type of reactor, originally designed for the additional creation of weaponized plutonium, can only be found in Russia. It is the same kind of reactor that was involved in the Chernobyl disaster. Its main characteristics are the graphite blocks that are used as moderators, and the presence of 2 separate water coolant loops that dispose mostly excess fission heat. Due to the fact that the coolant and the moderator are of different substances, something called a positive void coefficient occurs, where the light water coolant turns into steam and can absorb many neutrons, allowing more neutrons to be free and the reactivity of the system as a whole to increase. The fifth reactor is the advanced gas-cooled reactor, otherwise known as the GCR. In this system, the active part of the core, including the fuel, is housed in many graphite bricks. This core, the boilers, and the gas circulators are all then placed in a large, already stressed concrete pit. This design is mainly used in Britain, and its main difference is the use of carbon dioxide, a gas, as a coolant. This choice allows refueling to occur while still partially online, saving quite a bit of money for the users. Some safety features include steel cladding, a concrete structure, a shutdown system where boron balls are inserted into the reactor, and the use of nitrogen gas as a secondary coolant. The sixth and final reactor type is the fast neutron breeder reactor, otherwise known as the FBR. The fast neutron variety of nuclear reactors has no moderators, allowing the neutrons to move at a much faster rate. This allows for other types of fissile fuels to be used, including plutonium. Additionally, due to the fact that it's a breeder reactor, it produces more plutonium than it consumes. Thirdly, it uses sodium or other liquid metals as a coolant, due to the fact that these liquids won't slow the neutrons down. The heated sodium or other liquid metal then passes energy through metal tubes to a separate stream of sodium. The second row of heated sodium or other liquid metal then goes through a steam generator, which produces steam and as a result makes the turbines turn and produces power. While it may be relatively expensive to design initially, and to utilize expensive coolants, this reactor can shut itself down, making it very safe, and it allows us to destroy or use nuclear waste that would otherwise sit around for ridiculously long periods of time. To wrap this all up, there are many different ways to harness nuclear power, but the same general idea of steam turning a turbine is central to all of these designs. The way of producing that steam is the only real difference. Secondly, advancements in technology are being made and being adopted at a constant rate. Additionally, different countries and different geographical regions utilize different types of reactor designs due to the fact that they fit into their own personal situation. Finally, each design has its own set of personal advantages and disadvantages. It's up to the creator and the people who utilize these to determine which one fits their situation best. Thank you for watching my video, and if you have any questions, you can ask me now or later in class.